Turn on the news. You're going to find a lot of doom and gloom on the news. Lots of stuff about how politicians are super corrupt and how you've got to drain the swamp. Is America really broken beyond repair? Congressional approval ratings are falling, and Americans seem to have no confidence in the electoral system. Is there really no hope for America? To that, I say no. But there is a problem that's going on right now. Now, what spurs the thoughts of there's being such a big problem? Well, congressional approval rating, as I mentioned before, is at an all-time low. It reached its peak in 2002, shortly after September 11th, at 85%. However, since then it has been on a steady decline to now 18% in 2018, with a majority of respondents saying that they do not agree at all with the current congressional's job. And this was found by the Huffington Post. And many people think that Congress doesn't represent their opinions. An example of this is on gun legislation. A Gallup poll found that 76% of Americans support tighter gun legislation. However, Congress has not passed any new gun legislation in the last 20 years. So, what led to this problem? Is it because the politicians are corrupt? Is it because of partisanship being so bitter? Well, I think the answer to that problem is a bit simpler than we'd like it to be. It's because we're not voting. The Telegraph found that American voter participation in 2016, which was one of the lowest approval ratings of an election year ever, was some of the lowest of all time at only 58%. That means about half of America is deciding for the other half of America. That's like if you went up to McDonald's and you're asking for a burger and the person next to you says, no, you get this burger, it doesn't really work. And it doesn't work for a representative republic. The Demos Watchdog Service for Voting states that by excluding so many eligible voters, our election systems do a very poor job of giving voice to the full diversity of viewpoints. And along with that, when we don't vote, the politicians don't know that their constituency does not want something. If their constituency is the small, loud minority, who are the only ones who vote, then they don't know that what they're doing is wrong, and they think that the outcry is just from a couple of, from another loud minority, and they think that they have the majority because they won the vote by majority rules. Now, in a system where everyone votes, that actually happens. Now, how would we increase the votes? Because a lot of people say, voting's not for me, it doesn't matter. My one vote won't make a lot of difference. Well, it does. And to clear up that misconception, Donald P. Green, a political scientist, suggests two different ways to try and fix this problem. The first being an informational campaign. Just by using some information, just by sending out an email telling where the caucuses is, they found that voter participation rose by 80%. And that is a whole lot more viewpoints that are encompassed in the electoral system than would have otherwise been. And simple actions, just like those voting buttons or telling your neighbors about the caucus that's coming up, also lead to a greater enthusiasm for voting and a more accurate representation of the voter base. Another way is to lower the voting age. Now, I know that's a controversial way to do things, but in the 70s, when President Nixon lowered the voting age, it actually increased voter participation by a lot and led to some of the highest voting totals of all time, as found by the New York Times. It also led to great social change. So, in closing, I think the best way to solve some of the problems in America right now is to get out and get involved. Go to the caucuses, put in the time and effort to vote, and we'll see a better tomorrow for America.